this time I am going to do my review of Season 1 of Black Lightning. Once again, I got my notes, try to keep myself a little bit more on track this time. We'll see how well that works. Alright, the quick version of it, this is a really good show, very strong start to a new franchise. It takes some really odd turns that probably don't pay off, and I don't know if they ever will in Season 2 or beyond, but definitely dug it. Got a few flashbacks of Marvel's Netflix shows, especially Luke Cage, obviously, with the urban setting and the hip-hop music and all that good stuff. But there was a really good focus on family here in Black Lightning, and I think that's what really sells it, through everything that goes on through the rest of the season. Of course, the star of the show, Black Lightning, played by Chris Williams, great job, solid acting, very commanding presence. Not only you believe him as a father, you believe him as a guy that's the community leader, that's a strong pillar for everyone looking up to him, and then you believe him that he's out there spin kicking guys in the heads and throwing around with lightning bolts. Rest of the family, just great acting. It takes a little while for the characters kind of find their footing. The oldest daughter, Thunder, her big gimmick in the beginning, she's just an activist. She's tearing down Confederate statues. She's protesting. That's all they really got for her. And then once her powers kick in, she has a nice little side thing about looking into it and doing some research, and then gradually becoming a hero. She gets pretty good at it. Jennifer, almost overly portrayed as rebellious. The first episode, she sneaks out of the club, she's getting drunk, she's smoking weed. I think the second episode, she's getting drunk. And they kind of overplay her being like this rebellious kid, which she's really not, especially as the season goes on. Her powers pop up pretty early on, especially considering her older sister's just now getting them, and then really for plot convenience, now she's suddenly got her powers too. Obviously when it's a superhero show, you want to see people with powers be superheroes and do stuff, but I do appreciate the storyline of her not wanting to be a hero and trying to have nothing to do with this. It's annoying when you're watching it because you're just like, come on, be a superhero and go fight, but I definitely appreciate what the storyline was going for. I was actually kind of surprised with the twist that when they introduced the ex-wife character, I figured he'd be trying to win her back all season and trying to keep the secret superhero stuff, and then she'd find out and you wouldn't see her anymore, and looked like he'd probably end up with the secretary. But I was very surprised that she basically came back and eventually got completely 100% on board, and then that made a nice solid family unit and made that more enjoyable. The secretary's a whole other story. I'll get back to her when I talk about the villains in a little bit. The next other major character is Gambi, who was definitely big time, Alfred vibe. He's like Batman's trusted sidekick and providing him stuff, and that actually pretty quickly gets thrown aside. He's like this kind of real secretive character. He's got a lot of shit going on in the background, and he makes you wonder where his allegiances are, and then they finally explain it, and it's just an interesting take. He's basically part of this government agency that's real shady. So that was different. I still can't believe that pretty much in his basement of his tailor shop, he's got technology that blows away like anything else in the world. These super realistic holograms, shit like you would see Cisco come up with on The Flash, except almost better and without this whole lab and all these scientists that probably contribute to this stuff. As far as the villains, Tobias Whale, pretty good villain, just the hard ass, but they gave him enough of a backstory where you see a little bit what shaped him and what kind of person he is now. They never explained his powers until the season finale, and it wasn't as interesting as I thought it would be. And the strangest thing, it's they introduce him to this guy is the big bad. He's the one that's the crime lord, and then you immediately find out he's under at least several other people. He's just he's really not anyone that special until obviously later in the season he makes his moves and becomes something special. I mentioned the secretary earlier. Just seemed like I said she was going to be the love interest, and then she kind of fell to the side. I thought she was going to be maybe like a Miss Moneypenny to like James Bond, where she likes this guy and he's not really into her. And then you have the twist where she's actually one of the bad guys, and I kind of like the attitude change where she's like just like evil now. I mean, I'm hoping to continue her story next season because she wasn't found out, but we'll see. They might just drop her. That's the thing. It seemed like a lot of stuff in the show, and like the first maybe 1 or 2 episodes, they had like an idea, it was going to go a certain route, and then they kind of said, you know what, we're just going to twist everything this way. It seemed like there was a little bit of a swerve. Nothing major, but just kind of the direction the show took overall and some of the character arcs. You get strange characters like Lady E, which is the kind of polite, well-dressed, but evil woman, and this bizarre scene where she's like, doing some type of embalming on a guy, and the guy opens his eyes, and they never get back to explaining it. Like, was she getting, is he torturing him? Is he like some kind of zombie thing? And there was no payoff because they killed her. And I thought it would show up again when you get back to Lala, who was a decent villain, like kind of like the nice middleman, kind of second in charge. And then he dies, I think in like the 2nd episode, and then he comes back magically. So I'm thinking, okay, Lady E maybe did something, but no, some bullshit resurrection program that brought him back to life with some bizarre twist that somehow he sees the ghosts of people he kills, and then they somehow become tattoos on him because I don't know why. And it was a what the fuck moment when he came back, especially with the tattoos, and it seemed like it was going somewhere. Like, okay, maybe he's gonna take over as a big bad next season. He's got some interesting shit going on, and it's like, no, he's just gonna walk in and blow himself up and he's dead again. I mean, I don't know. I think they dropped the ball on that one. You know, we'll see what happens. The overall plot was kind of all over the place. Like, first it's about the gang, then it's about the drug, and then they're tying that into the whole ASA storyline, and it kind of comes together at the end, but it just feels like it took a real winding road to get to that finale. So I don't know how I feel about that. And the whole thing with the pods and the metahumans being locked up, like, hopefully next season maybe they got some more running around, the government fixes the pods, we'll see what happens. Otherwise it's just kind of some bullshit in the background. It was even like the modern day kids that they were kidnapping, there wasn't really anything like if they would have took Jennifer's best friend, that would have been more like invested into these characters in these tubes. But it's just like, no, it's just some random people in some tubes, and what happened to them was bad, but that's about it. Since it's a superhero show, the action's important, and it was pretty good. I thought sometimes Black Lightning looked a little goofy. He's a big guy, and he's throwing these spinning kicks, which is impressive because he's a big guy, but it looked a little wonky sometimes. But the lightning effect was cool. They had some pretty cool uses to it. Thunder's powers, they never really define her powers. You just got to figure out what she's doing. I mean, she's bulletproof and she's super strong, but I wish they would explain it a little bit better. But her stuff looked cool, except I really got sick of that really corny sound effect she did. Every time she had to use her power, she would like breathe and it would have this weird echo effect. And this was kind of cheesy, and I don't know. I guess I'll get used to it, but we'll see how that works out. But she had her and her father had some pretty nice team ups. You know, I like the way they worked together and using their powers, you know, in the combinations that really made sense and really gelled well together. So that was pretty cool. And you have to say it. No matter, I thought maybe it would grow on me, but the Black Lightning costume was fucking god awful. It's just this big lightning bolt with rainbow colors going on it. He's running through the woods trying to keep a low profile, and this big bright rainbow V's on his shirt. You know, even if just one single color, like bright yellow, I think would have looked a little bit better, even though it's still blatantly like a thumb sticking out that he's running around. Thunder's was much more restrained. I mean, the gold was a bit much, and same thing, a little bit not too camouflage running around, and she got a big glowing belt buckle, but it wasn't so bad. And she's another character, if you watch Arrow, every time Mr. Terrific has to be Mr. Terrific, he has to take his afro and find the time to get it, you know, put in some kind of braids before he runs out and fights crime. And Thunder's kind of got some hair things she got to do first. I don't know. She was better off with the wig from her proto costume earlier this season, but hey, it is what it is. Now I'm just going to run on a couple quick notes I had about various episodes, see if anything interests me that might interest whoever's watching this. The first episode was just strong, and it's my favorite episode of the season. It was real, even with the superhero stuff coming up, just grounded, like the family dynamic, the reality of black people going through certain things that other people don't go through, the racial profiling. I do have to bring some points up about that later before I finish this review. Because I was actually surprised how quickly people were getting killed, which again reminded me of the Netflix. I mean, Lala gets killed early on. The Lawanda, I believe was her name, gets shot by him before he dies. There was a lot of stuff like it's like, oh, the show's gonna get pretty violent. Toned it down a little bit as it went on. Bring this up now why I'm going. I know the show's on CW and it's maybe sort of part of the Arrowverse. They really haven't committed to it. One interesting thing is that that one of the characters has an Outsiders DC comic book in her pocket, so it's implying that superheroes are fictional. So it's like, I don't know, is Supergirl fictional to them, or is that just another Earth where they think it's fiction? I don't know. There's actually some pretty good humor throughout the episode. There's some funny moments with the dinner scene where Jennifer's telling her parents that she's gonna have sex for the first time was funny. Two Bits, who's kind of like the Black Lightning version of Turk from Daredevil Netflix series. There's real down to earth. Detective Henderson was another important character I didn't bring up that initially seemed like he was just going to be like the cop that doesn't like Black Lightning, and he surprisingly quickly got on board with the whole program. So we'll see how that plays out next season. I guess eventually he's got to figure out who Black Lightning is. I was definitely surprised how much the season finale just started explaining everything, which gave some answers we hadn't had up to that point, like how Tobias had his powers and a bunch of other stuff that was pretty interesting. Definitely loved the show. I ended up giving it a 4-star rating. I think some of the action was a little, and like I said, the storylines are all over the place, but the family drama portion of it was so good, and you're so invested in it. That's what carries it. I think this show can definitely turn some people off that are open to certain points of view. I have a pretty conservative coworker. We both decided to watch the pilot episode separately. I watched the whole thing, loved it. He almost turned it off after the police stopped Black Lightning. He felt it was too anti-cop, and he definitely turned it off after Black Lightning got into it with those 2 cops outside the club. And he's never watched it since. I think if you can't identify with that at all with shows like the Luke Cage series, or I think I pointed out Blackish, where there's a certain viewpoint people have, you can't kind of put yourself in that mindset and enjoy something like that, you're probably not going to like the show, no matter how much superhero stuff there is. But you're basically missing out on a great show. And I think that's about all I got. Been rambling on for probably way too long.